Welcome back to the channel. We've made it to week 1. We just had a Thursday night games last night, and we're going to start to preview the Saturday games, starting off with Northwestern against Tulane. Now, going into this game, you do have the Northwestern Wildcats, one of the bottom feeders of the Big Ten last year, 4-8 on the season. Going into New Orleans, at the moment, Tulane is a 5.5 point favorite off of it, kind of basing it on the massive offensive struggles by the Wildcats last year, for the fact that they were 130th in total offense on the season, the worst in the Big Ten, and bottom 5 in the entire country. They were 111th in passing at 186 yards per game, just under 99 yards per game, which was second to last in the Big Ten. Second to last in the Big Ten also in scoring, with just under 18 points a game, which was 128th in the country. Defensively, they were a lot better. They were averaging 362 yards given up per game, which was still towards the bottom half of the league. They were 14th in passing, giving up 232 yards a game, 130 yards rushing per game, which was 10th in the Big Ten, and gave up 26.3 points per game, which was third to last in the Big Ten. So there's not much to write home about on this team. Just for the fact that they're playing a group of 5 competition is the main reason whenever you see the records 4-8 last year against 9-5, that the line on this is even close. A little bit of preview on the Northwestern Wildcats. Their most significant loss on the season was interior lineman Josh Thompson that transferred to LSU. It is one of only 2 of the transfers that was a 4-star recruit going out. The other one went to the College of Slippery Rock. I'm not making that up. Trying to fill the gaps offensively that they had last year, they brought in Preston Stone, who was the backup quarterback for SMU, who started the beginning of the season at SMU before he got hurt, and Kevin Jenkins took that team to a college playoff berth. As much as you'd like to say that the offense can't get worse, Northwestern starting quarterback last season, Jack Lausch, left the team to pursue his focus on baseball instead of football, so he is no longer on the football program. That's the main reason they brought in Preston Stone from SMU. Once they did that, he was not going to be secured a starting position, so it was Preston Stone's job to lose. Last year, Stone, in his limited snaps off of it, had 421 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception in a total of 5 games. So not really much to write home about, and kind of just middle of the pack in QBR. Now, they do return their top running back in Cam Porter, who's going to be a senior. 126 carries, just over 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. For the fact that he barely made 500 yards as their leading rusher, there was nothing on this offense that anyone could really say was a positive. Even if you go with the rest of the competition at the running back position, which is probably going to be the strength of the offense, it's going to be Porter again back as a senior. They bring back in backup running back Joseph Hyman, who had just over 250 yards last year on just about 5 yards a carry, and then redshirt sophomore Caleb Malafe, who had 50 attempts for 139 yards, no touchdowns. So their top 3 guys are back, but unfortunately, the main concern on this team is their passing game, and their top receiver coming back had 10 receptions on the season. And he's expected to be the number 1 receiver on this roster in Frank Covey IV. 10 receptions, 98 yards, no touchdowns. With the remainder of players that did return to this team, Hayden Elegon, who had 4 receptions, 83 yards, no touchdowns. He's going to be a sophomore coming in. And then Drew Wagner, 3 catches for 31 yards. The 2 transfers they brought in, Wild from South Dakota State, 7 receptions, 150 yards, 1 touchdown last year. And Chase Farrell that they got from Stanford. Farrell had no stats on the team for Stanford, so he redshirted the entire season. So there's nothing that he did in the ACC to build any sort of confidence, even though he's expected to be a major contributor in the pass game. As bad as it is at wide receiver, the rest of the receiving weapons have even less results. They bring back Hunter Welching, who was their only tight end that is returning that had a single catch last year, and it was only one catch for 20 yards. Then they bring back Lawson Albright, who had a reception in the 2023 season, but last year no line whatsoever. And then Kent McGee is a redshirt sophomore, and Chris Petrucci, redshirt junior, both of them no stats on the line. And then they bring in as a grad transfer Alex Lyons, who had transferred from UNLV, Arizona, and then New Mexico State. Lyons is probably going to be the favorite to be that starting tight end. There's nothing on this team that would expect that any of these players are going to give any sort of receiving production. But the strength of this team overall is likely going to be on both of the lines. The Wildcats do bring back 2 starters on the offensive line last year in center Jackson Carcello and junior left tackle Caleb Tiernan. But the rest of their offensive line is going to end up consisting of FCS All-American right guard transfer in from South Dakota State, Evan Bierston, right tackle Xavier Gray from Liberty, and left guard Martez Lewis from Minnesota. So this line should be better and should also help the run game as well. So on a defensive line, because they only have 2 stars returning in Carmine Bastone, defensive tackle, and Najee Story. But you do have a lot of production that came off the bench that is returning, and basically a 2 deep on this line that has shown consistent production. Anto Saka is going to be one of the starting DNs on this team. He had 3.5 sacks last season. Junior defensive end Hayden Hubbard led the Wildcats with 7 quarterback hurries and 6 sacks last season. And then you'll have depth behind him that has production in Michael Kilbane with 2.5 sacks. You had Miguel Jackson transfer in from Utah State, who had a sack and a half on the season. The Wildcats are returning nearly the entirety of their pass rush from last season, as 20 of their 23 sacks on the season are returning. Unfortunately, you did have a bit of turnover on their secondary through the transfer portal. You had their top cornerback, Theron Johnson, transfer to Oregon. You had their top safety in Devin Turner transfer to Baylor, who had 3 interceptions and 3 passes defended on the season. Johnson had 2 interceptions and 10 passes defended on the season. So the biggest challenge for Tulane and their offense is going to be protecting their quarterback, whoever they decide to make it be, to protect him and be able to give him enough time to be able to get the ball to his playmakers and move the ball down the field. Now, the secondary for Northwestern is for the most part unproven. They brought in Dylan Tatum from Michigan State to be the starting safety, and Fred Davis, grad transfer from Jacksonville State, likely going to be one of, if not their number 1 corner. For the rest of the roster, they're only bringing back 3 interceptions on the entire team between Damon Walters, Robert Fitzgerald, and Evan Smith. We'll probably have cornerback redshirt sophomore Josh Fussell, who had 5 passes defended last season. He's probably going to end up being the starting corner outside of Fred Davis. And then Evan Smith may end up being the slot corner as a redshirt junior. So at this point, it's a lot of unproven talent. But at this point, I am expecting that Jake Retzlaff is going to be the starter. As of this point, John Summerall, Tulane's coach, has not announced anything yet. But according to training camp and according to the depth chart of quarterbacks getting the most snaps, it was Retzlaff 1. It was Iowa transfer Brendan Sullivan 2 whenever he wasn't hurt. And then it was Ball State quarterback Caden Samanza 3. These Wildcats seem like they have a secondary that is very capable to exploit. It does feel like potentially that defensive line of the Wildcats is going to be more of the concern for this team. Overall, the most that they scored in the season was 37 against Maryland, and they only scored above 30 twice in the season, and the other one being against Eastern Illinois. But I am looking forward to how Retzlaff does play. He can be exploited for the fact that he had 12 interceptions last year with BYU, but I don't know how well this secondary is going to be able to cover and to be able to contain a passing offense if they're not able to get pressure on him. How well can this Tulane offensive line hold up against a very veteran, very established defensive line? And can Northwestern's corners hold up against a veteran quarterback that's been hyped up? But this should be a pretty good game off of it. It's the first of 3 Power 4 competition that Tulane plays. The game that they're going to be most likely favored to win amongst those 3, as they play Duke and Ole Miss later on in the season. If they're able to win this convincingly, then the hype for Tulane as a potential playoff team is just going to end up growing, and the hype for Retzlaff as a quarterback. That'll be just a brief little preview on this game from Northwestern Tulane. It'll be at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, but there'll be reaction on that game and reaction on this one and the Lafayette game soon after. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It should be pretty competitive. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. More videos going to be coming soon on this. If you do enjoy this, like and subscribe on it. Leave a comment down below on anything you want to see on this. Anything you want me to make content for in the future. But yeah, see you on with the next video. I'm out.